Ashton Hall in the morning routine trend has been going very viral lately, and today in this video, I'm going to be unveiling the curtains and breaking down everything that he does to monetize his current coaching offers, right? This is going to be important for you to watch to the end because at the very end of all of this, I'm also going to be explaining to you exactly how I would rebuild his entire infrastructure from the ground up to basically make it 5x his current amount of sales. So, who's this going to be important for? This is going to be important for you if you are a coach, info product seller, consultant, or creator that wants to scale your current info product or coaching business, or if you're someone with a monetizable expertise and you want to know how you can go about monetizing. Let's say you have a knowledge base that you want to share to everyone and get paid for doing it. So, with that being said, let's get right into the breakdown. So, this is going to be mainly about how he drives sales for his two offers. He has a B2C offer, which is his fitness coaching, and he has a B2B offer, which is a start your coaching business offer, right? So we're going to go through where he drives attention to this offer, how he does and can capture qualified prospects, and then how he turns those prospects into paying customers through his sales process. So first, on the traffic side, right? He's obviously present on Instagram, YouTube, and also Twitter. He gains millions of views per video on Instagram. YouTube gets hundreds of thousands of views. Twitter, tens of thousands of views on all of his tweets, right? But here's basically what his traffic looks like. Everyone sees him at the very top of the funnel from his morning routine meme. It's been very viral, right? Lately. And from that, it causes them to check out his profiles on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, which then, if they go further down, they then all land up and lead to YouTube, right? If you check out his Instagram is it's pretty basic profile. He has a bunch of short form content on there, and the type of content that he makes in his short form is really mainly going to be day in the life and mindset content, right? But here's the trick. He is actually fooling everyone. Everyone thinks they're making fun of him, right? But he's actually using psychological principles to brainwash these viewers into thinking that they're making fun of them, when in turn, he's really just bringing them down to show interest into the type of content that he makes. This is viral content, hyper fueled by the meme, right? Another person who's done this pretty well would be someone like Andrew Tate, right? Where they just get a bunch of people, right? That he's literally just rage baiting and causing people to go over and look at his stuff without them even knowing what he wants them to do on the back, right? And there's nothing wrong with this. It's actually a very great monetization principle, right? So let's go into how he nurtures his audience, right? He does most of his nurturing through YouTube videos. These are 10 to 20-minute videos, and he does them in 4 content pillars. He has day in the life, mindset, diet content, and workout content. The goal with nurturing is to make sure that people who watch your videos know, like, and trust you, right? So his day in the life and mindset videos really allow them to know, like, and trust him as a person, while his workout content and diet videos allow them to know, like, and trust him as an authority, positions him as an authority figure, so that within his B2C coaching content offer, these people trust him and know that he can get the results. While the day in the life and mindset content allow him for the B2C offer to be able to for them to like him as a person and really buy in. Why? Because they like someone who resembles them. They like someone who they can look up to, and people will buy from that, right? And then for his B2B offer, it does the exact same. So what can he do to improve this, right? I would actually include only 2 things to improve his audience nurturing right now, as it is right now, with all these millions of views he's getting. I would include some sort of IG story framework. What does this look like? This looks like a posting schedule where he posts a certain type of IG story per day, Monday through Friday, right? So let's say it could be like Monday, Q&A, Tuesday, client results, Wednesday can be some sort of mindset message or sit down message, right, that he makes on his story. Thursday can be a build up towards a CTA. Friday can do a CTA to his coaching programs, right? And then the second thing I would add is going to be a community and or an email list, right? Why? Because this allows him to capture his people on a platform outside of the social media platforms, right? By having a community and or email list, more preferably community, right? But when you have a community, you're going to have an email list by default because you're collecting emails for them to join the community, right? By having this, he's not going to have any competition, right? Because if they're looking at their emails, there's no other creators who are trying to grab their attention, no other content they can watch other than his, right? And then 2, he's going to unlock a whole other audience segment that he doesn't have before. There's a lot of people who, they just mainly stay on Instagram, just mainly stay on Twitter, mainly YouTube, right? There's also a whole other list that's mainly on email, right? That are mainly going to be in this community, right? And then lastly, the highest level, allowing them to know, like, and trust you is going to be the people who are nurtured over time within the email list and the community, right? So now let's get into the his lead generation process, how he turns all these viewers into qualified prospects, because this is where some of the problems start. And I see problems that I also notice in a lot of other coaching businesses, right? He really only does one form of lead generation right now, which is IG Reel comments going to ManyChat. The problem is, you can comment on them, but you're not really going to get a response within a timely manner, right? Was taken like a day after I made the IG comments, right, and still no response. There's no speed to lead, right? But in this scenario, there should be an appointment setter that comes over and qualifies them and brings them over to get them on a booked call, right? That's on the IG side. Now on the YouTube side, he has two forms of generating leads, right? He has he has in this bio, he has a type form, but the problem is that this type form doesn't really lead to anything. Just fill it out and there's nothing there. I would assume that it would at least take you to the book call page, but there's literally nothing there. And then, but one thing he does do well is at the end of every single video, in the description of his YouTube videos, he has a link to the B2C coaching program, which takes you to a landing page with the VSL, which allows them to know what they're going to get in the program, something to look forward to, and the lead form, and then client testimonials to show social proof. And then, after that, I would expect there to be some type of dial or appointment setter, but there is nothing there. But it does allow you to book a call right after. It's a pretty basic funnel, which is pretty decent. But how can we make this better, right? How can we bridge the gap to give him something that's dialed, right? He needs a way to get people. He needs some sort of, right, in lead generation. It's going to be some sort of combination of an advantage, talent, and or system that you're going to use to be able to get yourself from point A to point B to having a dialed lead gen system, right? The parts that he's missing here are going to be these parts in black. He's missing a clear offer and angle that he's presenting outwardly to his audience, right? If you look at his socials, right, he doesn't show anything really. Only on his YouTube that he actually shows that he does something, right? That he helps someone, which is fine. But even then, he needs a way. He doesn't even if he doesn't want to have this put outwardly on his Instagram, he can still make the back end a lot more dialed and make it a lot more profitable, right? Which I'll go into later when I talk about the sales systems. But for now, he should be creating lead magnets. He should be creating lead magnets, which will allow people to raise their hands to show that they're qualified and the fact that they have a certain goal that they like, which will allow them to come deeper into his funnel, which will allow them to collect this information via CRM and create these nurturing systems via the email list or community that I spoke about earlier, and then also the IG story sequences, right? So he's missing all these parts. Now let's go into how he currently turns these leads into buyers and the system that's going to allow him to 5x what he's currently doing, right, and get more sales. Now this is something that I see. This is his current system, and it's something that I see a lot of coaches currently do right now with their system, and it's pretty crappy, not even gonna lie. It's a lead form opt-in, right? So all these opt-ins that he has, right, when you fill out the lead form, it just takes you to the sale. It takes you book a call, and then all they do is they just use Calendly notifications, right? Confirmation reminder, 24-hour reminder, 1-hour reminder, 10-minute reminder, and it's just the Calendly default, right? You get a text and an email, right? This is really ass. Why? Because it leads to low show rate, low close rate, unnurtured leads, and 10x more work for you to get sales. So where's this gap that we need to fill with his sales? What are the advantages? Where's the talent? What is the system that we're going to use to be able to get him to a point where he has such a dialed lead generation and sales system that he can literally mathematically scale with numbers, right? And there's no guesswork as to how much money he can make with this system, right? So this is what I would implement for him if I was running his offer. I would have a lead magnet opt-in system, right? So someone, like I said before, someone would raise their hand, right, via ManyChat sequence, and they want to get a lead magnet, right? They opt in, they give their email, whatever, or just in the DMs, and you'd have a setter or dialer come over, have speed to lead, contact them in under 5 minutes. If it's a lead that comes in from the landing page, and they'd contact them in under 10 minutes so they have enough time to watch the VSL, right? Then you're gonna have your qualification conversation. this setter, right, which in my case, I would put in an AI setter because he gets so many millions of views. He's going to have so many hundreds of leads. And I believe that as long as you train it correctly and, train it to his voice, train it with the proper scripts and frameworks, which I would have, right, working with him, this is going to be able to sell 24/7 and qualify people 24/7. So, and then obviously, using human dialers, right? So that the setter or the dialer would make sure the lead is educated and engaged, right, with their content. They've looked at they've looked at the lead magnet. They would validate their goals and motives, make sure that they actually have something that they want to achieve, right, and then make sure that the prospect establishes a logical, emotional, and an urgent appeal to that goal or motive, right? The reason why is because these are the three things that are gonna intrinsically cause someone to make a specific action, to take a change to the current scenario, right? So throughout, at the end of this qualification conversation or throughout it, it's going to lead to one of two outcomes. Either they're going to be disqualified, right, in which we'll disengage, right, or downsell them, or B is going to lead to us offering assistance to help them achieve their goals, right, which is basically leading to a book call, right? So when they have their book call, we're going to have a pre-call flow with reminders and trust assets. So it's not going to be something like this. It's not just going to be your basic Calendly like reminders, right? These are going to be specific emails and SMS sequences, sent 24 hours, 6 hours, 3 hours, 1 hour, 5 minutes before. That's going to give someone, a prospect, first of all, something to look forward to. Answer all of their questions. Let them know exactly what they're going to get out of this call, and let them know what they're going to miss if they don't make this call. Why? So that by the time they're on the call, they're basically they're put in a trance to make sure they show up to the call because they have a reason to be there. 2, by the time they hop onto this call, they're going to be so pre-sold that they basically sold themselves and they just need like a few questions answered. And this is what's going to give you that close rate. First of all, it's going to increase your show up rates, be above 50%, and then also make your close rate be above like 35%. We're talking 35, 40, 50, and even above close rate. For someone like Ashton Hall, his close rate should at least be they should aim for a close rate of 40%, right? Now, when they book the call, there's going to be one of three things that's going to happen. The person's either going to close, not close, or they're going to be a no-show, right? So if they close, we're going to collect the payment. We're going to have an automated onboarding system to make sure that they get into the program in a seamless manner and as fast as possible to make sure that there's client satisfaction. We're going to have a closed client email sequence that's also going to take them, that's going to go throughout their length in the program so that it helps with fulfillment. If they no close, we're going to downsell them if possible to increase client, the cash collected. Make sure that we're always collecting cash, increase the average lifetime value of each customer. We're going to have a no-close email sequence and a no-close SMS sequence to bring them back onto the call, make them reconsider, make them come back. And then the closer is also going to follow up to re-engage that lead to try and sell them, right, over time. If they no-show, we're going to have a no-show email sequence and a no-show SMS sequence to get them back onto rescheduling. And the setter is also going to follow up. Throughout the whole time that we're doing this entire sales sequence, we're going to make sure that tracking is dialed. So there's going to be a tracking sheet that's going to track metrics on the setting side. There's going to be lead source, whether they're qualified, are they engaged, whether they're booked or not booked, what's the pipeline value of this lead, what are the objections that they're having, so we can improve our responses to those objections over time. And then we're going to have some sort of lead scoring system for closing these clients, right? For closing calls, we're going to track call source, show up rate, whether it's closed, not closed, how much revenue generated, how much cash we collect from them, and any objections that they had, right? With all this being done, right, and tracking all the data, you're going to be able to create a flywheel system where your sales process gets better and better to the point where it's so dialed that literally you can mathematically scale and know that, with a certain amount of views, you get a certain amount of leads with your lead gen system, and then a certain amount of sales based off because you can convert at literally specific percentages, right? There should be no guesswork in terms of scaling your coaching business, and there should be no guesswork for Ashton Hall. So, with all this being said, right, how does this apply to you, right, in your own business, right? So, right now, you're a person at point A, right? It's a coach or consultant you are now, and to get to where you want to be, right, the leverage coach who is making 50, 20, 30, 50, 80, 100K per month even. There's an entire gap that you need to make, right? And within that gap, there's micro gaps. These micro gaps are going to come in the form of your offer, your lead gen, appointment setting, your sales process, and even further down the line, your delivery even. And to solve each of these gaps, there's going to be one or more of a combination of some type of advantage or insight, a talent, and a system that's going to allow you to solve for that micro gap, right? But only when all of these micro gaps together can be solved can you actually make the leap across the path that takes you to where you want to be. So, where does the problem come? The problem comes where you see all these people out here, people like Ashton Hall, people like, let's say, Elon Gasly, all the OGs, right? All these people are already up there and they have the leverage, right? They have the leverage of one, the time that they've been in the game for so long. They have a massive team. They have large amounts of capital. Let's say their content is a lot more on point. It's more, they have way more of an audience than you, right? These things allow to prop them up and give them a unique edge against the competition, right? And you are the competition right now. You don't really have any leverage. So how can you acquire your own leverage, right? To be able to compete with these people to scale, right, to these places you want to scale to. So there's pretty much the solution is going to be a combination of you utilizing one AI and then also validated sequential data. Using these two in combination will allow you to prop yourself up to similar or even the same levels and allow you to scale with more ease. So everyone knows what AI is, AI systems, AI automations, right? But what is validated sequential data, right? So validated sequential data is a specific type of flywheel where you are using AI and automations to pretty much get more done efficiently, right? But as you're using it, you are gathering validated data. Maybe you're even using AI to gather validated data for different parts of these gaps that you were trying to fill, right? And when you gather them, right, you're gonna make sure that they're sequential. When I say that they're sequential, you can't just have different bits and pieces that don't come together to fit the whole map to get you to complete the path, right? Everything needs to complete the path. But once you can make them complete the path and work together, you can then achieve scalability. And now that you've achieved scalability, you're going to refine these AI systems again to make them even better, which then allows you to start the whole process all over again. So, as a coach consultant, right, these are things you need to do to scale. If you'd like to work with me, right, to get this done, I have my own system that I use to scale coaches and consultants that utilizes all these frameworks taught, everything that I've gone through in this video. And this will allow you to skip all the guesswork, skip the time needed, skip the pain, figuring out what works where, how do I do this, how do I do that, through every single part of your business, from offer, lead gen, appointment setting, sales, fulfillment, everything. Literally by the end of this, working with me, you'll be able to craft your offer, an irresistible offer for your audience in a very timely manner. Make sure that offer is optimized with your branding, your messaging. Get leads who know, like, and trust you. Mathematically scale your sales with leverage and create exceptional client results at scale without achieving burnout, right? If you want all of these things, right, I call it the data trap monetization system. Check the description and you can learn and it'll give you all the information you need to, get in contact with